My only wish for Rob is for him to go 1 month where he doesn't drink anything above 46%.
Impossible.
Hey, welcome to Super Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whisky Rant Podcast.
It's a little crusty,
It's frustrating.
and it's going to be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
This is insane.
I can imagine.
I'm so mad we didn't get more, because I remember at auction I would put bids on this at 1,500 pounds all the time, and it would go for 1,520. 1530.
Yeah, barely got beat.
And it's not the money. It's more that, like, I'm like, no, I'm gonna get it at 15. I know I can get it at 15. It's kind of like that fun game you play, right? That you want a better deal than the next guy. And literally, well, now it's like 7,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But just to highlight, this is probably the last great limited edition they put out, because cask strength. What are the odds of getting a Macallan limited edition not at 43% today?
Right.
Not possible.
They don't do it, right?
They don't do it.
And it's non-age stated, but it's
But you know.
it's insane.
So would you say best NAS whiskey you've ever had?
Wow. It probably is.
Probably is. Great question.
It beats the
I would say.
it's
Balvenie?
this and the batch 3 of the Balvenie ton.
I
Okay.
was going to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although there's enough information, you can kind of gauge what age it is, right?
Yes.
There's zero information on these, but yeah.
Yeah, we know that the Balvenie is mostly like 40 plus year old stuff. So
Yeah.
it's 30 to 40 plus year old stuff on the other one. But this is drinking like Macallan 40 plus.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, I think for us that Balvenie ton, the 1401 was probably the best NAS Scotch. we've ever
Which
had.
batch?
We had 6 and 9 and 8.
Okay.
So eight.
Is
Eight's
that the
my
one that-
favorite out of those for sure.
Richard from Hawaii sent to us.
Yeah, he sent us
Little agua.
8. I had 9 and I have 6.
Only gets better, man.
Yeah.
Whatever one he sent to us, the one that he made us do a blind tasting on, and somehow I figured out that was Balvenie.
Or was that 3?
I think that might have been 3.
It might have been 3.
I think that might have been 3.
From
And
my
it was-
memory, you guys tried the 8. Have you tried the 3?
I'm gonna go
Yep.
back. I'm gonna go back to that live that we did. We did a blind live. The Balvenie ton was a 14 series, 1401 batch 3, 50.3%. Richard from Hawaii sent us like just the most ridiculous samples, and we did them blind.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us what they were,
No.
and one of them was a Balvenie ton, and it was just ridiculously good.
Yeah.
And then there was a
You
whole
guys
bunch
tried
of
the 3. Sorry to interrupt you. That's like a 94. That's an insane
Yeah,
whiskey.
It was stupid. It was whatever it was. It was stupid.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it was the 3, because I remember being like, "Wow, this is the
Yeah.
best Balvenie I've ever had
It
in
might
my
have been the
life."
3. It was the 3 or the 8. I can't remember.
Well, we just opened the Balvenie 40 on my 40th birthday in Vegas, the new one, the Rare Marriages, and that's retailing here in the States at 7,500, and we'll do a review. But wow, probably the most disappointing purchase we've had in the last
Really?
5 years.
Ooh.
Wow,
Maybe ever.
I'm hearing really, really good things about the Ben Romick 40. You guys hear anything about that?
Ben Riek or Ben Romick?
The Ben Romick.
The Ben Romick.
The Ben, sorry, the Ben Romick. Yes.
The new,
yes.
Oh yeah.
new 40.
We considered buying that, but we're always in that point where we're like, we have so many bottles that are open in that lower 90 range,
Mhm.
where if we're almost like, we rather get one bottle that we might think is going to be a 95 versus 3 bottles that we might think is going to be 92 or something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Just because when you get to the point where you have between the two of us well over 1,000 bottles, it just there's just no need to just keep stacking up bottles.
No,
Sure.
for sure, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh my god.
Which one's this? This is the darker one of the two now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The old queen.
Yeah.
not much left, guys. Make a trip to Cali and you can have some, but
All right. We got to jump
Better
on.
hurry up.
I would love to. This is like
We gotta do this
I've
in
just
person,
entered into
you know?
like the hardest time to travel for a teacher from
Oh yeah.
we still don't have a Patreon, and we literally talk about it all the time. We're never going to do it, obviously, since we haven't done it, but we talk about like different ideas, and we're like, what if we have a tier where it's like we set up a whiskey tasting and you fly out and you get to try like
Yeah.
That's nuts. That would be crazy. That would be epic.
Yeah.
I guarantee you'd have people joining though.
People have told us, but it's like we've been so inconsistent with YouTube. We'll go like 8 months without releasing a video, where we don't feel like it's fair to like do a Patreon unless we're actually like 1,000,000% committed.
Yeah.
I feel like the way you guys have been doing it lately is the right way though. Like you guys have been like releasing stuff that, you know, what would be even cooler. I mean, I think it would be awesome is if you guys know basically your scores on a lot of the stuff that you both have, right? Like you've tasted most of the bottles that, you know, you've been reviewing together, even separately. Sorry, the whiskeys that you've been reviewing separately. If one of you would just like record, take a bunch of samples, say I'm gonna record this and this on my own, take a quick 30-second, like just give your score.
Yeah.
And you do like a little cutaway, and then the other person's giving their score as well. So you in every video, you guys still have both of your scores
We could do
on,
that.
That's
on
awesome.
that whiskey.
For
You
sure.
know what I'm
That's a
saying?
great idea.
Yeah, we kind of, there's so many bottles that we when we get together, which is not often, we're you know, we don't really, we're like, no, we want to drink the best stuff, right? So we
Right.
end up reviewing some bottles that we could. So we're like, let's just review some of the stuff that we wouldn't necessarily review when we're together,
Right.
solo. That way the channel can grow too. Actually, our subscribers right now are like doing a triple of what they normally do just from like 2 weeks of actually releasing videos.
There you go. Right. And I think it would, like, if you incorporate that little feature of just like, you know, you can do a screen on screen. Like, what are you using for your editing app? Like right now, are you using iMovie?
That's it.
Yeah. So in iMovie, you can cut away to, like, you know, you're at home reviewing your whiskey, and then Mike's quick score that you know, he has a sample, just a quick score, and then that's it. And then you finish off the review, and vice versa, and then you guys have each other.
I'm gonna do that.
I think that's a cool idea.
Another thing I was thinking about doing between the two of us. So like, I blindly bring a whiskey. You guys should do this too if you guys think it's a good idea. I blindly bring a whiskey out to Mike, and well, I know what it is, he doesn't, and then you do the review and you score it.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you know, if I know it's a crazy whiskey, maybe mentally I want to score it higher, and maybe if he doesn't know what it is, right?
Yeah.
And then you reveal the whiskey at the end, but one person doesn't know, and vice versa.
I like
That's a cool idea. And then and the person that doesn't know scores first.
Yeah.
Because,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
100%.
Because, like, I mean, at the end of the day, we are pretty. I feel like we're all good at, like, you know, we're judging it for ourselves, but our palates are so similar. You become similar to the person you're reviewing with all the time that you know, maybe I'm a little influenced when Jeremy says, you know, this is an 88, and I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
I liked it maybe a little less than he did, so maybe it's an 87 for me, or an 89.
You're 1,000,000% right. Everything influences everything, 100%. The moment you're drinking it in, the setting you're in, and let's be real. If I give you a Samaroli, you automatically in your mind, you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. You're just gonna. You're gonna. Yeah. The whole world says it's the greatest. You better believe it too.
100%. Someone pours you an 80-year-old whiskey, you're like, unless this sucks, it's probably gonna be amazing. I'm probably gonna score this amazing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if you don't know it's an 80-year-old whiskey, do you score it that high?
Exactly.
Yeah. I like the way you guys have approached your channel and doing more accessible bottles, because everyone always wants your opinion. You know, okay, like, I know what you think about these museum piece whiskeys and, you know, these auction bottles, but like, what do you think of just, like, you know, the common man's whiskey? And now we're getting that from you guys, which is really cool.
Yeah,
really cool to see.
I like that.
Yeah. We're trying to push out more stuff. We wanna do a Patreon where we want to, like, help people guide with because we get a lot of emails where, like, people will be like, I have $10,000. What should I buy? I'm like, it's a lot of pressure on me, right? Because
Absolutely.
literally, and I'll spend like 3 hours trying to figure out what they should buy and send them sites, and like, I'm like, I just spent 3 hours on this guy because this guy's spending 10 G's and he's asking for my opinion, you know?
Right.
That happens a lot more often.
And you're right. And that time is worth money. And how many times do we spend that 3 hours on these on people? And, like, we're not getting anything for it.
I know.
you know, and we're happy to do it. But at the end of the day, like, you know, this is, I think, the only YouTube section that is doing a lot of what they do out of the kindness of their heart and for free, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, whereas everybody, if you're good at something, you get paid for it. We're not necessarily getting paid for it. You know what I mean? We're not actually.
No, 1,000,000%. Right? I know you guys have a system where you guys send out samples, right? And they don't have to give very much to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah.
We have a lot of ideas and just like and also like sending out signals to your members of like, hey, this bottle just came out. You know, there's like 4 or 5 bottles right now out there that are insane good values that are on shelves if you look online that people don't know about. And it still exists. They just don't know which ones they are. And there's some value to that stuff like that too. Like, hey, go buy this bottle ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Narby, why don't you speak to like the cigar pairing with whiskey and like why you enjoy it? What makes the cigar nice with whiskey?
It's a great question, actually, because I have 2 ways of answering that. We're obviously bringing out really crazy fancy whiskeys right now because we're on your channel. We're excited to hang out with you guys and we want to show off some nice bottles. But ultimately, when you're pairing something with a cigar, you're not going to get the full experience of that whiskey because you're getting tobacco and you know, obviously all kinds of spices and all kinds of things going on from the cigar. But I think ultimately though, it's like if I want to add something tasty to drink, I actually don't go towards the cask strength. Like if it's an ordinary day and I'm sending a recommendation, I actually like to keep my whiskeys 46% or lower when I'm pairing it with a cigar. Because if the whiskey's extremely big and powerful, it could take away from the cigar and vice versa, right? So I don't really have a method. It's not like, oh, this cigar goes so well with Springbank 15. And then this cigar doesn't. It actually goes well with a Macallan 12. I don't really do that. There's a lot of people that do that. Like this particular whiskey goes well with this. I'm more like, don't go for something extremely high end when you're pairing with a cigar. Obviously a little different when I'm doing it on video. But keep it to 46% or lower. And then if it's a really, really spicy, bold cigar, maybe you could go with a little bit bolder of a whiskey. If it's a very, very creamy, light cigar, maybe you can go with more of a lighter style whiskey. That's just kind of, I'm more general. I'm more not so detailed with it. How about you?
I would say that let the cigar dictate, because the cigar is taking away so much of your senses, your palate. I would say let the cigar dictate which whiskey you want. Like this is an aged Cuban. It's very light and creamy. If you're having, say, like a very dark Maduro Padron, for example, a very dark cigar, then you have to change up the profile. But it has to complement each other. But definitely, cask strength takes over too much.
I definitely would echo exactly what you guys said. And to your point, Mike, about maybe just like spark the cigar first, see how it's smoking, then go to your collection and pick a whiskey that you think would pair well for that. Because there's so many times where I poured a whiskey and I've sparked a cigar. I'm like, you know what, this cigar doesn't really work with this whiskey. You know, something like maybe a little heavier sherry would work better for it, or a bourbon would work better for this. So that's and the same thing too, like a heavier cigar with a heavier whiskey, lighter cigar, lighter whiskey. It seems like that works well. I'm not saying you can't contrast, but it seems like that is, in my experience so far, in my very short time of getting into cigars, that's been the best for me.
And let me ask you guys a question. How do you guys feel about this whole thing that's happening with food pairing in whiskey?
It's a good question.
You know, I haven't really got into food pairing. I love like a dark chocolate with a rum. I think that pairs super, super nice as a dessert. Like if you want a dessert, grab like a nice rum and a dark chocolate, like a really nice dark chocolate, and that pairing is super, super good. But as far as like whiskey or Scotch or bourbon with food, I'm not into it.
I had about 450 subscribers when I was invited to a Bowmore tasting where they paired it with food.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it worked really, really well. I find it works really well with peated whiskey because,
yeah,
especially if you're having a fish heavy night, it's like they go hand in hand. Peated whiskey and like fish, and like we had oysters that night and we had like other types of fish, and it worked really, really well together. But I don't know if like I'm going fine dining and I'm gonna do whiskey with that. I think I'd rather do whites and red wines. You know what I mean?
Million percent.
There's a really good whiskey bar in Toronto. And if you order the oysters, I think from them, they bring you a spray bottle with Ardbeg in it. And they're like, spray it over the oyster. And people seem to love it. People seem to absolutely love it.
That's different.
I could see that.
That's different. What I'm talking about is there's a large percentage of distilleries and companies and people on Instagram and stuff that are trying to now sell people that are like foodies into saying that, or whiskey people that are not like super into it like we are, saying that the food will enhance your whiskey. And my whole thing is if I'm drinking a 25-year-old Macallan anniversary like this right here, I am certainly not gonna mess it up with any kind of food on my palate. I don't care what
truffle, filet.
Yeah, this is already such a complex, beautiful thing, and I want to experience this. So that's the whole thing. And of course, cigar would only take it away from it too. But the thing about pairing a cigar and whiskey, it's such a excuse me, breathing some ash. Cigar and whiskey is such like a fun, like hang out with the guys and like it's just such social. So the enjoyment is there for me. It's like the social aspect of having a nice whiskey that we're chatting about and a nice cigar that we're chatting about. And now we're getting to hang out, have some man time, talk about stuff, rant a little bit, and then get to enjoy it that way. So that's what adds to the experience for me. But in terms of something in food enhancing whiskey or a cigar enhancing the whiskey, no. You're not truly into whiskey then.
Impossible.
Exactly. I totally agree. I think pretty much, and to it, like pretty much anything you add to a whiskey is not going to enhance it. Maybe like after you take your final sip of a whiskey, you have a piece of dark chocolate and then like further whatever, you know what I mean? Like maybe, but that's pretty much it. Like I don't really think you're enhancing.
Yeah.
I think the only thing, honestly, the only thing I would say is maybe dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Maybe dark chocolate. That's the only thing.
I use dark chocolate, espresso, and black tea as my palate cleansers.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And dark chocolate with cigar, like dark chocolate between puffs is very nice with cigar.
Yeah. You guys are familiar with the anniversary of Macallan 25s, right?
We haven't had the pleasure.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but I'm saying you obviously know what they are.
Yeah.
They're going crazy now too.
What's the ABV on that?
They're all 43.
The color on that would not suggest that that's 43.
Yeah, well, that's because it's like the old school ones.
So it's like almost cask strength at 43.
yeah. And this is a non-vintage one, right?
Yeah, I've only had the pleasure of drinking a more recent bottling of the 25. And honestly, I was underwhelmed because we were drinking it with the old cask strengths, and the cask strengths were just blowing it away. Absolutely blowing it away.
I've been very fortunate to be gone to events and tried several different of the more current 25s.
Yeah.
And they're regularly scoring around 87-ish for me.
Okay. Yeah. So
where these guys are in the 93 range.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember a long time ago, there was a Macallan tasting in Toronto. You invited me, and we went through, their NAS range. It was the Ruby, it was the Sienna, it was whatever. I remember I went with my girlfriend at the time. We tried everything. We went home and I had just poured her a Macallan 18, like a 1997.
Yeah.
And she's like, "This is way better than anything." That thing. Way better. Yeah. Yep. It blew it away.
Some of the older 18s were epic, but and to be epic at 43% says a lot, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. Like I can imagine how good that is right there.
Yeah.
My only wish for Rob is for him to go 1 month where he doesn't drink anything above 46%.
Impossible.
I can do that. I've recently acquired.
You're just drinking Springbank the whole time. Maybe.
I've recently acquired some 46% stuff that I can hang on for a month. I can do it. To be honest with you, Narby, I've actually because I've always been into Muay Thai and whatever. I recently started doing intermittent fasting and weights.
Yeah.
So because of that, I've also been dry.
Yes.
Majority of the week. So 4 or 5 days a week, I'm not drinking at all. Mm-hmm. So I do notice that I'm much more
sensitive to
cask strength and stuff like that. So it does I notice myself adding water now where I'm a year ago, there's no way I would have added water to this.
Yeah.
But you know.
I've burned my palate more than a few times to the point where I remember I've gone through stages years ago where if you give me something at 40, 43, sometimes 46, and I'm just I feel like I'm drinking nothing.
It's like water.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't mean nothing, but when you drink a lot of cask strength regularly, let's say you're having 2 grams a night for a month.
Right.
And you're only drinking cask strength, and then all of a sudden you go visit a 43% whiskey. It almost feels like you're drinking 30% whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I had to stop. I had to stop. I had to stop that. And another thing we did for a while is we were drinking Legends only for months. Yeah. So we were, we
ruined everything.
And it ruined everything. It's it got to the point where just a very special whiskey that's, for a lot of people, it's their best bottle.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good. And it's right. All relative to what you're doing. So we had to focus down and keep special whiskeys. And it doesn't matter what you have to drink the regular stuff more often than not, or else the special whiskeys will no longer be special.
Narby, tell the story about the Samaroli Springbank and when you tried it and then you cried because you thought that no whiskey was ever going to be as good.
Yeah.
Hold that note because
yeah. This 25-year anniversary, some of them have a vintage on them. This one doesn't.
Yeah.
This is I'm not sure what juice is in here, maybe 1960s, 1970s. But that it's like you talked about earlier, the old school Spanish transport casks.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that, it's so addictive.
Yeah.
It's that, and also I would imagine maybe some Paxaret.
Yes, absolutely.
Some Paxaret definitely involved.
What's the year of that bottling? When was it bottled?
That's the thing. It's not on. Some of them have it, and some don't.
Okay.
Some don't.
And you're thinking 90s.
I would guess
90s?
That this is bottled in the 80s or 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think best research probably late 80s.
Yes. But it's 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 so fruity, it's so musky. Muskies, I think, is the best word.
Yeah.
When you start getting the deep, almost you want to take a drop and just put it right here
Cologne.
And to impress a beautiful woman. It's really, it really is. There's a reason why Macallan has a big name. It's really delicious.
The modern Macallans, you don't get that. Yeah, you don't get that that muskiness from the modern Macallans.
Absolutely not.
You get ginger and pencil shaving.
Yeah. So this is the musk era, that very fruity, cooked down fruits and musk, and almost like a cola. It almost approaches that vinaigrette style.
Yes.
And then the Macallans, where they were releasing the Macallan cask strength and the good 18s that you've tried.
Yes.
That was the really rich chocolate and that candied orange and
fudge, treacle.
Yeah, fudge and just the nice spices, the cinnamon spices, and just the figs and raisins, but in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's gone much thinner. It's very gingery, chocolate still, but ginger candies and that pencil shaving note that we're not a huge fan of.
Can you speak to those Macallan 18s and the vintages and when you noticed the most drop off? Because like I hear from a lot of people who tried a lot that 93 might have been the year where the line was crossed. Where like 93 after that it started to get a little different.
So 93 was epic. 94 was very, very, very good. And then I feel like 95 was where it dropped for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say like right around there.
Yeah, and I'm only saying that because I remember recently having the 94 and it was really it was pretty damn good. Yeah, but if you go like 90, 91, spectacular.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, so tell that story. We're gonna pour our, I guess.
Oh, bring your little family.
I mean, we're trying to. We're not gonna ever come close to what you guys have over there, but this is the 1990 from 2020. So 30 years.
Rob, you reviewed a family cask, and I'll be honest with you. There's not very many times where I watch a video on YouTube where I'm like, I want to go buy that bottle. But there's one you reviewed. I think it was in 1990. I'm not sure, 91. You were going crazy over it, and I actually I looked after that bottle, but it had already been marked up so much I didn't buy it.
It was the first family cask.
Yes. Yes.
And I've yet to have an equal experience to that yet.
Yeah, we've been very lucky to try, the 50s and 60s family casks, which are stupid. But you guys have also gotten lucky. Not every family cask is epic. Mm-hmm. And I know every single one you guys have gotten, you guys have fallen in love with.
Every time I buy a family cask, because they're not cheap, but they're not expensive in the grand scheme of things, but they're not cheap. Like this was like $1,000. So
it's not cheap at all.
No, right? So like I do a lot of like due diligence before I make a purchase.
Yeah.
Which obviously you guys are doing all the time as well.
Yeah. A lot of people think, because we're spending big money on whiskey that like, you guys have no idea how angry we are when we buy something for $100 and it's not $100 worth of good.
Right.
We're angrier than anyone. We're really pissed.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. We're really,
So it's all value, what you're paying for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Regardless of the dollar amount.
Yeah. So the Samaroli story is we got the bottle and this is now, not only have we talked to some Malt Maniacs, some Plowed Society members, Surge's Review, a few other European reviewers, calling these Italian shops and talking to the owners, just multiple sources of how many people now have said that this is easily the best whiskey in the world, if not top 2 or 3. So at this point, you have this insane expectation, so it's hard to deliver. So we cracked the bottle open and we're drinking it. And as soon as I start nosing it, I'm not kidding you guys. Like ask Mike.
I'm a witness. Yeah.
I literally start tearing up. I'm talking like, there is literally like 40,000 different notes in there. There's nobody that could review that whiskey. Because there's literally 40,000 things going on.
Wow.
And after I took a sip, I was quiet. I remember where I was sitting too. Mm-hmm. I was quiet and I was emotional. It was the most emotional experience I've had with whiskey. And I actually didn't drink whiskey for, I want to say a month, but I don't know how long. It was probably over a month. I didn't drink whiskey for a month after. Wow. And in my mind, I was convinced I was going to sell everything I had and I was done collecting.
You went into a whiskey depression.
That's crazy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I no longer wanted to collect. I no longer wanted anything I had in my bar.
Wow.
I rather drink beer. It was that level of ecstasy. I guess, I don't know. It's like the first time someone does heroin. I've never done heroin. I'm not into drugs, but someone,
right.
You hear similar stories.
You'd imagine.
Yeah. It was a heroin-like experience. And eventually I got off of it. And that was the moment where I also realized that we need to stop drinking these crazy whiskeys. They need to be once a year max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Springbank Samaroli gets drank now once a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's half an ounce once a year.
That's a Christmas dram.
Yeah.
once a year or whatever, you know.
Yeah. In fact, we actually don't even drink it once a year. We probably drink it once every 2 years now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and like to the average like whiskey drinker, like that just seems insane, right? To be taken back that much after like trying whiskey for so long, and you finally get this bottle, and it just like blows your mind to the extent that you're like, nothing can compete with this ever again.
Well,
you've peaked. You know?
I would say to the average whiskey drinker, like they can't even look to the right side of the screen tonight, because even here, 2 bottles are like ridiculous in their opinion. You know what I mean? Like, but this is the point: is it's not about how much you pay or whatever. It's about that journey. It's about finding, like you guys said, like that perfect whiskey, which who knows if it exists, but you cry.
Hopefully it doesn't exist. Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't.
The
Like,
journey never stops.
Yeah.
You ever score that Springbank that you're talking about?
We haven't reviewed it yet. I'm not going to reveal the score until we review it.
Okay.
I don't know when we want to review it. Part of me wants to have more subscribers, but that's probably never going to happen. So maybe we should review it. But part of me wants to have like at least 5,000 subscribers before we review it.
You know what you should do? And I'm sorry for coaching like the YouTube side of you guys, but like
Coach, please.
I can't coach the whiskey side of you guys. So what you should do is open up a Patreon, and it's a Patreon exclusive. If you join, you get to watch that video.
But how many people know it? Like you guys know it, but how many other people know about that bottle that watches YouTube?
But it'll legitimately be every single one of your subscribers knows what kind of whiskey you bring to the table. So if you're going to reveal in the next 10 videos, hey, we're putting up a Patreon. The only people that join the people that join the Patreon will get to watch the video of the best whiskey we've ever tried.
Yeah.
That's your sell. Done. It's, you know what I mean? Like,
And by the way, that Lafroig Samaroli that we reviewed is up there as well.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever smoked a cigar down to this little nub before.
Oh man, I love it.
This thing has been just such a pleasure. I think I've only taken down a cigar once, like to this small before, and it was at the Padron family 45th or whatever edition.
Oh that's amazing.
Yeah. We were about to light that up tonight. Where we were gonna do the 80th anniversary.
The 80th anniversary.
Yeah.
So
but what a cigar.
I'm not a big cigar guy. I like cigars. The only reason I'm still going is because I've noticed throughout this entire live or rant anyway, that I'm the only one that has a smoking cigar, which tells me that I'm the biggest rookie by far out of everybody here, because everybody else is kind of like.
I power puffed through that whole thing. It was so good. I just could not stop.
Really? But yours wasn't smoking at all. Mine has been smoking the entire time.
What do you mean?
Can you smoke cigars without eating on like an empty stomach?
I do. So in the morning, I think I like cigars more with coffee. So like I'll take
number one.
Yeah,
I'll take a Connecticut Shade cigar in the morning, empty stomach. But like I can't do like a Moderno in the morning. That's just too much.
No, nobody can.
But yeah, empty stomach, just coffee only. You know, a nice Connecticut Shade cigar. Just the creaminess that comes out of that with a little bit of spice, like a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg. It just works so well with coffee. It's so good. And that's my morning routine. I absolutely love that. Spending an hour on the front balcony with the sunrise. Like you can't get better than that. I absolutely love that.
Perfect.
That's
nice.
Yeah. This anniversary 25 is insane. Just, if I had to score it right now, it's a 94. This is unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah. It's there are certain classic malt. There's certain you could talk about like the best whiskeys and stuff, like the Samarolis and stuff, but those are not realistic to try. But there are certain whiskeys that you have to try, like the 12-year-old Springbank. You guys have already tried it. Anniversary 25, you have to try it. There's just certain whiskeys you have to try. And those are more whiskeys that were like more regularly released. So there's more than a couple bottles out there,
Sure. Yeah.
So we didn't say it in the beginning of the rant, but we will say now, if anybody's noticing like a difference in light,
it's getting dark here.
It's getting dark over here.
You guys still look good. I think it's our camera that's really crappy, and we apologize for that. We had a camera, but
But
work.
it still looks like it's daylight over there, whereas we're in twilight at the moment because
You guys still look good though. You guys still look good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
But like, this has been such a pleasure, and we've always wanted to do this with you guys, and I'm sure we'll continue to do videos together, and we'll fly out to California eventually.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, man.
Honestly,
Come on
yeah.
out. Come on out.
Oh,
We
yeah.
need to get to Canada too. I would love
That's
to
what I was
visit.
gonna say. I mean, you guys have a place to stay if you want. I mean, I got a finished basement and a spare bedroom, so one of you can pick one, and whoever picks the basement wins because that's where all the whiskey is. So
Yes.
You know what
But,
trips me out about Canada is the nature, man. You guys have some of the most beautiful nature in the world.
This province and out in BC, like you can't
Across
there's-
Canada.
Across Canada,
Across
you know what?
Canada,
It's
yeah.
like it's very, very nice.
yeah,
It's very nice.
like so. I'm sure you've heard me like wax poetic about Shelter Point and
Yes.
Brewers. But where Two Brewers and Shelter Point are located. Okay, yeah, Two Brewers. Obviously, Yukon can be cold, but probably some of the most beautiful places in the entire world.
100%.
In the entire world,
Yeah,
right?
That's
So
awesome.
Wow.
yeah, both of them sourcing glacier water for their whiskeys. Like
Wow.
it's pretty cool. So yeah,
Amazing.
That's awesome.
you gotta come up this way.
Yeah. No, I really want to.
Absolutely,
I really
absolutely.
want to. How long has this rant been going on, by the way? Do you guys have a timer?
We've been almost 2 hours, I think.
Wow.
recording about close to 2.
Oh wow. You guys' rants are normally an hour long, so apologize if we're ranting on too long.
No,
No,
it's
no.
beautiful.
100% worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely worth the watch. And for all our subscribers, they're probably always subscribed to you guys. But if they're not, get on Malt Reviews. The link's in the description down below.
That's right.
If you want to see some of the whiskeys that, you know, these guys open, that no one else opens, no one else reviews, no one else even talks about them, you got to go to Malt Reviews.
That's right.
Their archive is so vast. And if you want to see, you know, the best stuff ever bottled, you got to check it out.
Yeah, if you claim to know anything about whiskey, then you already know about these guys, but you have to subscribe to these guys because it doesn't make sense that you guys are at the subscriber number that you're at with just the knowledge, the pizzazz, the
Yeah, we're
quality.
not YouTubers. We're whiskey drinkers. We're not very good at the
you know
YouTube
what
thing.
though? Like
Exactly.
at the end of the day, Whiskey Tube is built on people that enjoy whiskey.
Yeah,
So they
right.
should be subscribed to your channel. That's it.
100%.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate the kind words and I don't watch a lot of channels, but we definitely watch you guys. We're fans of you guys, and the biggest part about that is watching you guys' journey, watching you guys' passion for it. It reminds us of us, like trying to find the next best dram. You
Yeah.
know, it's not about you guys trying to have a YouTube channel for whatever reason. You guys are first passionate about whiskey and second doing YouTube.
Yeah. And we've always taken it as a compliment to be referred to as Mike and Narby Light.
Mike and Narby, like Mike and Narby of the North, you know, like, yeah. We
Right. There you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, guys. Really much appreciated. It was an
Sure.
absolute pleasure having you guys on. And yeah, check out Malt Reviews. Link in the description down below.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for all the
Appreciate it.
love. You guys are always been showing us mad love, so we really appreciate it.
All
Thank
right, cheers, guys.
you. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.